crash and burn.
Hey everyone, so tonight I want to discuss Christopher Stephen Clark's first album for Warp Records, and this is Clarence Park. It's this bad boy here. This was released back in 2001. Now this, of course, is before he shortened his name to just Clark. These are the Chris Clark days. And it's interesting because this record, it's sort of there's like a double edge to it. Because on one hand, you could argue, or you could use the term humble beginnings. But then on the flip side, you could argue this record is incredibly strong and it stands independent, or just as independent as everything Clark has done. So it's interesting because, like I said, this is not the sound that he would choose to continue to develop. The sound that is on this album, he would continue to develop it into Empty the Bones of You through Ceramics is the Bomb. But once Body Riddle hit, after that, when he was like learning like this whole new sort of like drum programming, and he was like figuring out like his whole new sound that he would be developing from Body Riddle forward, the sound that's on here and Empty the Bones of You through Ceramics is the Bomb is kind of gone. I mean, aspects of it remain, but it's almost like you could look at his career is in two very distinctive chunks. Like this through Empty the Bones and Ceramics is the first chunk, and then essentially I would say Body Riddle forward, even though now that I'm saying it, I'm starting to think actually you could argue that there's a third era in there that he picked up, I'd say, maybe after Totem's Flare. Around there, he started to sort of, like, Iradelphic, definitely, forward. Yeah, you know what, there's been 3 eras, actually. Yeah, fuck that, there ain't 2, there's 3. It doesn't matter, we're not talking about those, we're talking about Clarence Park. Now, this is an incredibly strong debut album. The one thing that I will definitely say it's disappointing about Chris Clark overall is that I felt that he deserved a wider fan base, and he never really got it. And at this point, he's been around for 20 plus years, so it's debatable, or it's actually, I shouldn't say it's debatable, it's most likely true that that wider fan base will never clue in to how great he is. And I find that kind of a shame. Because this record, I mean, with tracks like, what's Proper Lo-Fi, Bricks, The Chase. I love The Chase. It's painfully short, but it is an incredibly engaging minute. Through Lord of the Dance, which is an incredibly upbeat and is probably the most upbeat and fun track on this record. Through Diesel Raven. I mean, I will also say that Shrewland is terrifying. It is so scary sounding that I understand why he chose to not close the record with Shrewland. Shrewland would have ended the record like a nightmare, and I prefer the nostalgic oblong, the simple little piano melody tossed in for 30 seconds. It sort of complements the opening with the plain 1930s. So it bookends the record really well. Shrewland is, I would argue Shrewland's probably the strongest track on here, compositionally speaking, and especially as far as sort of the its emotive capabilities, where it's able to sort of conjure up this fucking sense of terror and dread, because it's just like it's a wall-to-wall sort of all-encompassing nightmare. Again, I think I used the word nightmare 30 seconds ago. I think I did. But with tracks like Proper Lo-Fi, Through the Chase, and like Diesel Raven, this record also has a lot of bounce. This record is incredibly catchy. This record is incredibly fun. Don't let Shrewland and its kind of like infinite darkness fool you. This record is about fun. This record is not about fear. And I loved this sound. Like when I picked this up way back, it was like, This Chris Clark guy, he was rumored to be like the next Aphex Twin. I remember that was like the talk. And rightfully so, too, because he is an incredibly talented guy. And there was all this sort of like Aphexis buzz about him. And he never really attained that level of respect. And like I said earlier, I found that really disappointing because Chris Clark's talent is just so massive. And he's so catchy. And he's got a really good sense of rhythm. And it's a shame that he never got more attention. But at this point, like I said, everyone was like, oh, this Chris Clark guy, he could be another Aphex, yada, yada, yada. And they weren't wrong. I mean, this record is so incredibly strong. I love the design. I love sort of the attention. The attention paid to breakage is a good way of putting it, because parts of this record sound like the percussive elements have been created from something broken. And I find that that's kind of Clark's sort of like his call sign, you know, it's his theme song, is using something that sounds broken in order to create something that is beautiful and very together, you know? To take something smashed, to build something from it, you know? It's a cool sound, and I believe it. Everything about this record feels very genuine. I don't think he's attempting to sort of like ape anyone else's style in order to sort of climb on, you know, to ride their coattails or whatever. It just sounds like he's a dude who had a bunch of really strong ideas, and the incredibly gifted people at Warp Records were able to recognize this and sign him. So, yeah, I think I'll leave it there. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for, Jesus Christ, a little over 7 minutes now while I discuss Chris Clark's first record, Clarence Park, from back in 2001. Like always, if you like this review, don't forget to do something nice for someone. I'm going to go. Have a good night. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the entire video. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remind everyone one more time, even though I've probably already done this in the video that you just watched, to please click the like button as well as the subscribe button, because it helps this channel grow. And thank you for hitting like and subscribe, and we will see you guys really soon.